and then once I went to the track, I realized like power isn't everything.
Right. Yes. Do you see any similarities between skateboarding and driving? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're here with Tony Jackson, the OG that came from Honda a long time ago. Now he drives this very cool E46 M3. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tony.
Let's see. Well, I started with Honda, so I got into cars like around '97 in high school. First car was an Integra manual, and I think from there it was just like it started everything. You know, living in Dallas, started modifying the car. I had a couple of friends that had Civics and Integras also, so it started with just like, you know, street racing, adding like an intake, clear corners, that sort of thing. And then summer '98 moved to Irvine and met more friends that were into cars and just like progressed. I mean, obviously like this area is known for car culture, so when I moved here in '98, it was just like, holy shit, there's like so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many shops and everything, so yeah, I was just kind of the start of everything, and from there I had a bunch of Hondas after that.
Gotcha. So how did you start tracking?
So I was on this message board back in the day. Everyone knows a Honda Tech, but there's the one before that was like the hybrids board. So that was like all the OG Honda guys, like articles on how to do an engine swap, like wiring diagrams and how to like wire a VTEC, like really like the start of like all that stuff, you know. So it wasn't one you could just sign up for. You had to like submit like an answer to a question. It was like, what are the specs of like, say like an EK9 intake cam or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they wanted you to make sure that you're able to like find the information and not ask stupid questions on the forum. Right. So every year they would hold like a hybrids track day basically. So I got in on the track day number 3. Was at Button Willow. So this was like 2002. It's like 21 years ago almost now. And I'd already known like Catman and Lee and a couple of those guys, but to see all their cars on track and like I rode in Catman's car for the first time, and to see him like battling out with like Lee and like Dylan and like all these rad Hondas and like with rad motors and rad transmissions, like I was instantly hooked. I had a white 2000 EK at the time with the V16 swap, Rega Masters, stock brakes, stock steering wheel, stock seats, and yeah, man, I had so much fun tracking it. Just like I couldn't stop after that. Yeah. So I've been going quite a bit since 2002.
Gotcha.
And then once I went to the track, I realized like power isn't everything. You know what I mean? It's all about balance, having good gearing, like good tires, like all that stuff. So then it was like, it just like opened me up like, wow, like there's so much more to it than just like adding more power, you know? So yeah, it just changed for me a lot. So yeah, I think just like not knowing and then going to a track day really opened me up.
Gotcha.
I feel like, I don't know, I look back at all the cars I've had and I've had fun with all of them. You know, and they all like meant something to me in a certain ways, and maybe to other people too, you know? So
Gotcha.
the EG was probably the loudest with the wrap on it. So. And that was the car that I first sub-2'd in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
Let's see. I was doing Honda, HFF Challenge with a bunch of buddies, and there was 2 guys in particular that I was like really competing with, and like just we'd push each other, right? Donut or Mike Haddon and other buddy Damian Cook. Okay. And we were all just kind of like gunning for that sub-2. I think Donut ended up getting it first. It was like December of 2011, I think. And then maybe a week later, like I went, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta like give yourself space, like all these little things you gotta like think of, you know what I mean, to like really like get that lap, you know." Right. And I hit traffic. Like, well, if you lift yourself space, then you could have like a nice clean lap. So things like that. So yeah, I remember first sub-2ing the car, no aero, no nothing. It was just a C5 motor basically, stock C5 motor. Wow. Stock trans and everything.
How did you end up with the E46 then?
So I had the EG at the time, and my daily was an E46 M3 sedan. Okay. And I've had, that was my 3rd one. I liked them a lot, but I always wanted an E46. Like I had a buddy Brandon who had one, and I drove it, and it was just like, it just felt like the right car to me. You know what I mean? And so I think it was like after I sub-2'd the EG, I ended up finding this. It was for sale in Michigan. So like sight unseen, I like one-way ticket out there, bought it, and drove it back. And the goal was just to kind of have it as like a nice daily. I mean, obviously, like right away, I did suspension and wheels, and I think I did like brake pads. I did a track day just to kind of feel it out. I mean, I couldn't not track the car, you know. And then as I progressed more with the EG, did the aero and stuff, I kind of felt like I got to a point where like, all right, like let's not like chop this thing up and make it like gnarly. Like it's not going to go much faster than this, you know. And I wasn't willing to do all that. And as a driver, I kind of wanted to grow from knowing front-wheel drive cars really well to knowing rear-wheel drive cars really well.
For sure, yeah.
In 2013, I think I took this car out to a track day at Chuckwalla, and it ran the same time as my like EG would on NT01s, and I was on like a Zenith. So I'm like, dude, this thing's got a potential. So I think 2014, I made a decision to like, okay, I'm just gonna like just track the M3 from here on out. And so, yeah, it's been like my main track car since then.
Do you have a favorite track?
Man, that's tough. I mean, Buttonwillow has got to be like one of my favorites. I've been going for so long, but like I do appreciate going to tracks like Laguna Seca, even though it's like kind of a boring track as far as like straight turn. I love all the elevation changes. I love like just the atmosphere and the surroundings of like that track. Sonoma is a really fun track. That one is technical. It has elevation changes. It's challenging, you know. So that's probably like, I'd say, if I had to choose to go to a track, whether it was Sonoma, Laguna Seca, or Buttonwillow, I'd probably choose Sonoma.
Gotcha.
Just because it's like, you know, I don't get to go very often.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have a dream car?
Yeah, I got a bunch of them, but I mean, I think within grasp, I think like if I were ever to not track this car, it would have to be a 911 GT3.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the only one that'll do it for me, really. Like, but until then, the M3 will do.
Oh, gotcha. And you used to have a TSX. Now it's gone. Right?
Yeah, I did have a TSX. So the story behind that was I had sold the EG, and this was becoming my track car. So I had like, it was like the EG was being parked in the garage and not even really being used. I wasn't tracking it. I'm like, so, okay, I'm gonna sell the EG, I'll buy a TSX as a daily, and then this will be in the garage as my track car.
Awesome.
I just had a one car garage at the time in Redondo. So I bought a TSX. Fast forward, I'm like competing and driving this thing maybe 20 plus times a year on track. And you know, like rod bearings were getting to that point where I needed to do them pretty soon. So I had an event in October. I had Super Lap Battle in November, and then I think Beamer Challenge finale in December. So at Beamer Challenge October, I put on slicks for the first time at Big Willow, and the car felt fucking great. And then just getting like used to like the tires and getting heat and everything, I was going through turn 8, all of a sudden the motor popped. So I coasted it into the pits, and I had just put on like suspension and wheels on my TSX. This is an automatic at the time, and I already paid for my event for December. So like signed up and everything. So I like, well, fuck it, I guess I'll take the TSX to the event and just have fun with that. Dude, I was so impressed by how well that car handled. I was like, crap. So I ended up buying the same car but a manual TSX, a silver one.
Oh, okay.
And I switched everything over to the manual and started just like, I'm like, I had to be on track. I like could, you know what I mean? It's like a drug for me. So while I rebuilt the M3, I started kind of messing with the TSX, and that snowballed. Got iBox to make me like a double adjustable reservoir R2 coilover for it. And just like, you know, just knowing what I know from Hondas, like, I mean, it was a double wishbone car, so like a lot of it was very similar to like old EGs and DCs and stuff, so it felt familiar to me, you know. Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, again, I guess I kind of just like explored what the car was capable of. I don't think anyone had sub-2'd one yet. Still hasn't. I think I had ended up on like a 2 flat was like my best with that car. And, I mean, I'd like to have sub-2'd that car, but you know, I have way more fun tracking the M3, so
right.
It had its time.
Yeah, and off camera, you were telling me now you're part of Evasive.
Yeah. So I'm working at Evasive now. I've been there about 4 months, but it just feels like at home. Like even when I was at IBOC and we couldn't work on our cars in the shop, I'd go to Evasive and like they would let me use their alignment rack, and they were always super helpful. So when the opportunity came up to work with them, it was just a no-brainer. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun over there with those guys.
Great. All right, Tony. What year is this? And obviously it's M3.
So it's a 2002 M3.
2002.
I bought this almost 11 years ago.
Okay.
One guy selling it in Michigan. My whole thing was like I wanted Laguna Seca blue or I wanted red. I kind of wanted red. White, everybody wanted white, but I thought red was a little different. You don't see too many red ones.
Right.
So this one popped up in Michigan. It was red. It had black interior. It was a manual. and it had no sunroof. So that was like, dude, that's the one. And so basically, I called the guy and gave him a deposit, and then talked to a shop out there that had maintained the car for him and the guy before him. So he's like, the car's solid. So I went out there. It was a Florida car originally, and the guy never drove it in the snow, so there's no rust on the car. And yeah, just flew out there, got the car, drove it straight back to California, and then it's been my baby since.
Did it have the Big 3 done? I think they call it Big 3 for...
Yeah, they call it the Big 3. I mean, it's done now. The previous owner had done rod bearings at 100K. I bought it at like 110K, so they had just been done. And then after I started tracking it, I had Platform do the subframe reinforcement. So since I blew the original motor, because I needed the rod bearings on again at 200K, I was at 191 or something like that when the original motor blew. So
Gotcha.
This motor I've done the rod bearings, the vanos. Obviously the subframe is still done. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I beat the shit out of this thing, so it just needs proper maintenance. You know what I mean? A lot.
All right, well, let's start with the chassis. Well,
Okay.
What do you have under there?
It's mostly suspensions and brake stuff, really. So as far as the coilovers go, again, I was working at iBox, so we did a Multi-Pro R2 coilover for this car. Used this car for development, spring rates, valving, all that stuff. And then right when we were done doing all the design work, we just scrapped that whole R2 program, so we never came out with the coilovers. Beyond that, it's mostly ground control hardware. So I've got ground control race camber plates in the front. I've got ground control adjustable front sway bar. Let's see, I've done the ground control, like lower control arm bushings, brand new control arms. The back has ground control spherical lower control arms. Turner Motorsports spherical inner bearings for the spring cup arms. Ground control weight jacks, which are pretty cool. It's like it's a height adjustable spring perch basically, but it has a bearing that articulates with the spring arm movement, so it keeps the spring flat all the time. And you can adjust it from underneath the spring cup arm without even like jacking up the car. So pretty cool. iBox rear sway bar, and yeah, that's about it. Like the diff is stock, the transmission stock, the clutch I just replaced recently. Nothing too crazy under there. And then I've got the AP Racing Radical brake kit on here that I'd gotten through Stellan some years ago. They were doing this program.
How do you like these?
I like them. They work great. I just think they're a little too big for the car. And the rotors are expensive to replace and almost impossible to get. There used to be J-hooks on there, but now they're worn gone.
Are these 355s? Looks like 13-inch, right?
They are 370 millimeter.
Oh, wow.
They're huge, yeah. That's why I'm saying this is too much brake for the car. I'd prefer a 355, because then brake pads and rotors would probably be cheaper.
For sure.
And it would make the kit lighter, obviously. That's kind of which I kind of want.
Do you remember the spring rates?
Yeah, I do. So I'm running a 650 front spring rate and then a 750 rear. I think most people like to run 600, 700 with these cars, or like 700, 800 if you have aero. I kind of wanted something in between if I were to run, like, say, a stickier tire. So this is a good balance that I like with the car, is 650, 750.
Good. And looks like you're running AO52s?
Yep. Yokohama AO52s and 265 3518. And they fit this car perfect.
Is this your favorite tires?
So far, yeah, it's been my favorite tire. You just gotta like squeeze the most out of it when they're new. That's the only thing. A close second would be like the Falcon RT660. I feel like for the bang of the buck, like that tire it's fast, it lasts a long time. They're easy to get, they're cheap. I mean, so, and it's been proven.
Cool. As far as exterior goes, it's stock, right?
Dude, it's like stock. I mean, the windshield banner is probably the most aftermarket thing on the outside. But yeah, I mean, I had previously I had like the black kidney grills.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
And vents, but yeah, I kind of wanted to put back the chrome stuff, because the guy when I bought it, he had all the black stuff on there, but gave me the factory stuff, so it was still like looking brand new. So I swapped those over. I'd like to campaign this car the rest of the year with Beamer Challenge and have fun with it, and then get a new front bumper and clean up some of the clear coat chipping on the side moldings and mirrors and stuff.
It still looks really clean.
Thanks, man. It's like a well-worn baseball glove.
It's a good way to put it. Ah, very cool. Can we see the engine?
Yeah, it's probably dirty, but let's see how it looks.
Cool.
These are the Eibach reservoirs.
Nice.
For the coilovers. Yeah, stock airbox. I really just have like the BMW World silicone boot and a filter. I've got VAC pulleys. TTFS did the reflash on this on the ECU, and then stock headers, stock section 2, and I've got a super spread race muffler on there, and that's basically it.
Gotcha. You mentioned the tune. Do you know how much power you make?
I haven't dynoed this motor, so I don't know. I would guess somewhere under 300 though, if it was to the wheel.
Yeah.
Little Mustang dyno.
Well, that's plenty of power, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little more would be nice, but it's a trade-off. I mean, you throw headers on here, you can make a little more power, but they kind of stink and they're loud, and I don't want to stink and I don't want to be loud.
How much does the car weigh?
I think it's around like 3,100 pounds.
Okay.
Without me in it.
Oh, it's still pretty heavy.
Yeah, I think stock they're like 3,400-ish, a slick top. So I've taken on a good like 300 pounds. I think with like, you know, take out the battery, the muffler. I mean, these are all like big item things that weigh a lot. The back seats. So you can take a good amount of weight out of these things without doing too much.
Very cool. What does this pin or the lock mean?
So instead of having like a tool to turn the rebound knob, I use it just for like,
oh yeah,
I can grab onto it without having to like put something on there to like turn it.
Good idea. I wish Eibach continued on with the R2s.
I do too, but it makes sense. I mean, quantity wise, I mean, build 10 R2s or build like 1,000 Tundra shocks, you know, so the focus went off-road and that's where the money was. So that's, you know, I get it, but luckily we have other companies out there like JRZ and yeah, there's a lot of good shock options out there, Penske, all those things.
Penske's, yes. As far as cooling system goes, is everything stock?
Oh, I've got a Koyo on there that I've had for, shoot, I think like 8 years and still holding up. So yeah, shout out to Koyo for always keeping my cars cool.
For sure. No oil cooler or anything like that?
No, stock. Okay. Everything's stock. Okay. But yeah, so when I replaced the motor, I mean, basically I replaced like all the gaskets and stuff, so all the power steering stuff, so motor mounts, steering guibo. So a lot of things got replaced when I put the new motor in.
Okay. So. And then new motor, was it rebuilt or was it like?
It was just a stock used engine, and I put it on the engine stand and just tore it down and did the rod bearings myself.
Awesome.
Did the rod bolts, all that stuff myself.
Awesome. Did you know how many miles it had?
It had 124,000 on it when I put it in, and I've probably put about 30,000 on it since.
Yeah.
So I mean, I did the motor swap, tracked it a couple times, drove it to Texas, tracked that Circuit of the Americas, drove it back to California last year, and yeah, now it's my daily and my track car. So I'm looking for a second car still.
So these motors are pretty bulletproof, right? Besides the bearing and vanos.
Yeah, bearing and vanos. I mean, dude, yeah, they're great, and I think a good reason that is because I think it says it here, like, so they ran like a Castrol 10W60 on these motors, right? So that was like, you took your M3 to get an oil change at BMW, it was always Castrol 10W60. And then somewhere around like 6-7 years ago, I think they switched to Pennzoil.
Right.
And so I was like, no, I'm going to stick with the 10W60.
Wait, was it? Was it Shell or Pennzoil?
I thought it was Pennzoil.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those two, but it's not Castrol. And so, yeah, I wanted to stick with the Castrol because it's just been, these motors don't burn oil. Like, that's all the ones I've had never burned oil. So, and all the ones I see, if you take care of them, I mean, I think it's the consistency of running the same oil its whole life. So that's why they run so good as well. Yeah. I'm sure the iron block helps us too. Yeah,
for sure. And I think there's a duct that goes to the headlight, right?
Yeah, there's like a shroud that goes right here, and like a clutch fan that I took off. Okay. And then like a little scoop for the intake. But I think it looks cleaner without all that stuff on here.
Yeah, definitely.
My engine bay doesn't look as clean. I should have sprayed that down.
What goes over here normally?
That would be the secondary air pump.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes into like right here the head, which I have a block off plate, and it basically just helps the car warm up. It just forces air into the cats.
Very cool. Still have AC?
No AC.
Oh, no AC,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
part of the weight reduction.
Yes.
No AC, no airbags, no back seats, no carpet, no sound deadening. Sometimes no radio. Right now it has a radio in it. I like the radio.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's see the inside.
Okay. Still kind of loaded from the track yesterday, but you get the idea. So it's, yeah, I've got the Momo Mod 78 steering wheel. I've got the BMW Motorsport shift knob, which is like a golf ball. And they made it out of rubber so that you could, like, you know, for rally racing and stuff, drivers would have more grip on the steering, on the shift knob.
Is that fully rubber or is it metal inside?
No, it's rubber. The whole thing is rubber. Yeah.
Very cool.
And then I did the M3 competition Alcantara, like e-brake and shift boot.
Nice. So clean.
And then, yeah, I replaced the headliner last summer with a new one. Yeah, they're getting to that age where they start to sag a little bit, and I wanted a nice new OEM one. The door cards I made myself.
Oh, nice.
So like, cut the top portion of my stock door panel. So it just kind of deletes like the armrest and everything else, the speaker and all that stuff. So took out a good amount of weight. I mean, not a whole lot, but like a few pounds per side. And then Evasive already makes like their own door cord, so I just kind of stole a couple straps to bolt into my car.
It looks really nice.
Thanks.
Did a really good job cutting it too. The Momo seat.
Yeah, the Momo Lesmo 1-seat VAC seat mounts. So basically, it's just mounted straight to the floor almost, and there's no slider, so the seat's fixed for me, but it keeps it so stiff. I mean, when you have a slider on there, it lets the seat flex a lot more. So I like it like that. The passenger has a Recaro pull position.
Okay. I can open it, right?
Yeah, it should be unlocked. Got the Crow harnesses, and then I've got the auto power roll bar for E46 M3 with a slick top. So it goes right up against the headliner, which is nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got a full-size spare ZE40 back here too, in case something goes wrong.
I'm sorry, full size?
Volk ZE40.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. You carry a spare.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you rotate them?
Not with the spare, no. That's just, it's got
Just a spare.
RT660s on it.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's just like if I were to like get a puncture or something, or bend a wheel at the track, then I have something to get home on.
That's nice. And the auto power fits really nice on the
It
E46.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you get the one for the sunroof style, it's a little bit lower, so it wouldn't hug the roof liner as close.
All electronics, all wirings are OEM, right?
Yeah, I haven't done any like wiring harness deleting at all. I kind of want to keep everything there intact, so yeah, everything is still there. I mean, even the AC, I could probably put the AC back in with just a few bolts. I just, it's winter time now. I'll deal with that later when it gets warm again.
That's the stock battery cable, right? From
It is, yeah.
Oh my.
You want to see the battery that I have in there?
Yes. Look how thick it is.
So I got this Volt Freaks battery that goes in the place of the stock battery, and I made a little tray to like kind of bring it up so I could use the stock battery tie down.
Nice.
Weighs, I think, 6 pounds. It has the on-off switch. You can see the green button there.
Yeah.
Has an on-off switch. It has a safety switch, so if it gets to a certain voltage, it'll just turn itself off.
Right.
That way I can still start the car later on. And then right above it, I've got the reservoirs for the rear shocks there.
Nice, okay.
So I can do all my compression adjustments on that.
What's the brand called again, the battery?
It's called Volt Freaks with a PH.
Okay. I never heard of it, but it looks nice.
Yeah, it's clean. It's a clean black battery. And I had originally put a Odyssey PC680 in here. And I had this like build thread on the M3 forum years ago before it went down. And the guys at Wolfric saw it and they're like, hey, we have the same battery dimensions, but it's lighter, has the on-off switch.
Right.
Would you be interested in like trying it out and maybe doing a little write-up on it? So yeah, I agreed to that. They sent it over to iBlock and I put it in, and yeah, I love it. I've had it for 8 years and it's run perfect.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Gotta try this out. All right. still have the tray. It's cool.
Yeah.
To carry all the stuff.
And I've got like a little like Honda scissor jack in there too, in case I need to like change the wheel like on the side of the road or something.
Why Honda one? Aluminum one? Or
yeah, well, because these cars don't come with a jack at all.
Oh.
So I was able to like squeeze like a little scissor jack from Honda in the back of the trunk. So I just in case I need to like get up in the air or something, you know,
nice.
I'm not like totally screwed.
Yeah. These are the Super Sprint you mentioned earlier?
Yeah. So really it's just the muffler as far as performance goes.
Any future plans?
I think just to keep tracking it and keep dialing it in. I think I want to do a different brake kit. I don't know what company I'm going to go with, but something that has like good pad options and pads are easy to get, not crazy expensive. Same with the rotors. Something a little smaller likely. And then I'd like to get a new driver's seat. Maybe a Recaro Hans Pro or like a saw belt like X Pad or something. But yeah, no plans to really go crazy and do aero or anything at this point. I kind of want to keep the car in B3. It's almost maxed out in points for my class in Beamer Challenge. So
what's B3?
So B3 is the class that I'm in. There's B1 is like all the fastest, most modified cars, and then it goes down to like B5, which is like say like a slightly modified like E30 or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So the B3 class kind of caters to like a highly modified E46 M3 or even an E90 or like kind of a basic F80, but it gets a good mix of like different drivers and builds and everything else. So it's the busiest class of Beamer Challenge, and it's also like probably one of the most competitive.
You mind if I share some of the stuff from the garage?
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. So you do all your work here in the garage?
I mean, I did prior, but now that I'm at Evasive, I'm a tech at Evasive, so I've got most of my good tools at the shop. So yeah, if I need to like do the clutch on my car or just check it for it before track day or even alignment, I do all that at Evasive now. But if I need to like do something small, like change a pad or something like that, yeah, I've got like a second set of tools I do here. And I still do like some like stuff for TSX. I started Race Prep Garage when I had my TSX, so I still make some of the arms. I've got my press that I use to do all my arms and pressing in bearings and stuff. So still doing that, just not pushing it as much.
Tell us about Race Prep. What do you guys do?
So Race Prep Garage started like during the pandemic, you know, iBox sitting everybody home. I was furloughed, so I basically was just in the garage tweaking out, like cleaning everything, working on my cars. And then I had friends hitting me up like, hey, can you put in this top deck kit for me or this AP kit for me or, you know, whatever it was, suspension wise. So I kind of just threw a name on it, made some stickers, made the banner, called it Race Prep Garage. And then as I started messing with the TSX more and more through this pandemic, it kind of just kept going. And I started making like monoball rear arms for the TSX. I was getting the bearings from Brian at PCI to do like the front monoballs on the front lower control arms for the TSX, and I would just have arms ready to go, already pressed in, and yeah, just kept pushing on that, and then until the job at Evasive popped up for me. So still doing it kind of on the side, just not obviously full time.
Yeah, cool.
And that's the old EG right there.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
And then the global time attack stuff, that's probably the M3's highest achievement, you know, with getting the championship and the Pro-Am class of global time attack in 2015.
Was that with this M3?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, this is limited class?
Yeah, I think I was on an NT01.
Oh, that's why.
And I think maybe because of the reservoirs too, the reservoir coilovers, I can't quite remember, but yeah, it was limited.
Does 98 have any meaning to you?
It does. So earlier you mentioned like, you know, my first car and everything. So I moved back to California in 98. It's the year I graduated high school. Had like my first like serious girlfriend. Like, I don't know, it was a good year. So I was happy to be back in California, and summer 98 was like kind of a thing for me. So yeah, I like 98.
That's great. RPG, does Race Prep Garage?
Yeah, so shout out to my buddy Mike Kirshner. I've known him probably 30 years. He's Husky Roundup on Instagram, but he does a lot of artwork for like skateboard companies and stuff. I mean, he recently just did something for independent trucks.
Wow.
And this is like some of his stuff here. He did this graphic for Grant Taylor from Anti-Hero, pro skater.
Nice.
This is his stuff here, Husky Roundup. So,
Cool.
yeah, he's a good buddy of mine, and he just, you know, we're like completely different as far as like, he's not a car guy at all, but he thinks what I do is cool, and like, he's like, hey, I made this for you, so he wanted to hang it up, and
That is so cool.
yeah, just showing some love.
And you still skateboard too, right?
I still skateboard, yeah. I try to do as much as I can. It's funny, I used to skate just to like avoid having to go to the gym, just to kind of keep myself like young and healthy. And now I'm like working out more so I can continue to keep skating because I love doing it so much.
So let me ask you a question. I used to skate too.
Okay.
Do you see any similarities between skateboarding and driving?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, like, you imagine like you're kickflipping, say like a 7-stair or something. You have to make that split-second decision on whether or not that board's going to land on your feet or like, are you going to kick it away, you know? And kind of the same thing with like, if you're at the limit, like, do I try to correct this turn or I just let the car go off and like do something safe? You know what I mean? Right. So you have to make that split-second decision. I think skateboarders are just kind of hardwired with that. So
yeah,
everyone that I've known that skated, that started tracking and took it half serious, was what they were always like fast out the gate, always fast. Yeah. So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Represent.
Shout outs to Beamer Challenge.
Yeah, Beamer Challenge guys. Doing it right. It's great to see how much the series has grown over the last few years.
That's cool. I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
First one is, what does sub 2 mean to you?
Sub 2 means, I don't know, I feel like it kind of like separates, you sub 2 a button willow like in any car, you're doing something right. So, I mean, certain cars, I mean, are pretty easy to sub 2 than others. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, if I couldn't sub 2 that M3 anymore, then I think I might just like give up driving. Yeah, it's definitely like something to kind of reach for as far as like, yeah, if you're building your car and you're trying to improve as a driver, like it's definitely a goal a lot of guys go for. So what it meant to me at first was I remember Andy Hope, there were only a handful of us Honda guys doing sub 2s at Button Willow, and he would host like steak dinners at his house and invite like me, Andy Hope, Ryan Novak, Sean Boda, man, I hope I don't forget anyone here, Tom Liang, Jason Cabman, shit, who else was there? Oh, Damian Cook and Mike Hatton, of course. But yeah, those were the good old days.
All right. Last question is, what things about life do you learn through cars?
What things of life? I don't know, man. I mean, I like that the car lets me explore, like, you know, I mean, like the whole country. So I've driven the car up the coast. I've driven the car to Texas. I think it's just the experiences that the car gives me, the people that I get to meet with this car. It's funny how like car culture just brings people together. But like, yeah, going to the track, driving my car to the track, like I've met so many people through that car, which I think is pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's funny a car can do that, but yeah, yeah. Cool.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Yeah. Any last thing you want to say, Tony?
Yeah, just thanks for all the support, I guess, over the years. I mean, everyone who reaches out and you know, has a nice comment from my car or say they watch my videos, like, it's humbling every time I hear that. So I appreciate everyone's support and you coming out and actually wanting to do an interview with me. So
yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you around, and yeah, for anyone interested in following Tony's journey, his Instagram is here, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you, guys.